So first, hi, how's everyone?
Fantastic.
Doing good. Hope you're doing
Good,
well.
good. Doing all right here. Busy, but doing all right. It's a good type of busy.
Fair.
Yeah. So my first question to Kayleigh. So Yuta Okkotsu is obviously the protagonist for Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. Take us through a little bit of the psychology of that character, if you can. What was he looking for in the world, and in your eyes, what separates Yuta Okkotsu from Yuji in the main series?
So I think a big thing that separates Yuta is that he is very, I feel like he's very traumatized, and he lived holding a lot of guilt, trauma, and fear about, what danger he may pose to others, fear from others and what they might do to him. And they start, so he and Yuji start from a very different place, but Yuta goes through this transformation of finding himself and his confidence and his reason to be, and finds a group of friends that bring him out of his shell and let him figure out who he actually is, for himself. Whereas Yuji, I feel like, is a lot more confident right from the start and knows already, that he can help people and he's going to do it, which is a really awesome character trait. But that difference, it's like they both arrive at a similar place through a different journey. And that still colors the way both of them act and really sets them apart, even though they have the same goals.
Awesome. That's a really, really nice breakdown of that character, like the arc, the ebbs and flows, and the separation. I really appreciated that. And Anairis, Rika, Orimoto, has their whole situation. Their curse is a lingering thread throughout the film and sort of acts as a motivation for a lot of what's going on with Yuta, a lot of Yuta's actions. From your perspective, how did it feel getting into the mindset of the character as a cursed spirit? How that sort of psychology breakdown?
I think it was making sure that human Rika, it was making sure that I knew the foundation of human Rika, and I think I knew that she was this sweet girl who has been through some things, and she kind of has the vibe of a mature soul, like older than she is. But she's still a sweetheart. She still, believes in love, still cares very deeply for Yuta, and I think when we get introduced to Cursed Rika, it's just the complete opposite almost, where instead of her being kind of mature, she's a bit more childish, and her emotions are very one note, but it all comes from this very innocent place. And that was like my main thing of making sure that it wasn't me trying to sound creepy or trying to sound crazy. It was me wanting to protect Yuta. It was me wanting to make sure he was all right, and wanting whatever I wanted in the moment, and and keeping a childish mindset as I did it, not necessarily thinking, oh, I'm a monster. So it was very based in this innocent place.
Sort of like channeling like a protective sort of rage instead of like a violent, angry sort of rage.
Well, it was kind of both, right?
Right.
Like it was sort of
kind of a mixture because of everything that happened.
It comes from this place of like this innocent, genuine love for Yuta, and I think whatever spawns out of that, like there is a protectiveness, but it can come out in different ways. It can come out in a very violent way. It can come out in a very jealous way. I think there was the base of protectiveness from an innocent place, but the way that it would come out was a bit monstrous and creepy, and I was just playing with that and making sure that I knew why I was being the way I was.
Yeah, when a little kid like sees injustice against like their best friend, like they get that those emotions are strong. I loved how you portrayed that.
You know,
it's a splash of righteous fury. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And to that extent, with this for both of you, given, you know, obviously Rika's curse, and Yuta's enrollment in Jujutsu High, how did that sort of play with both of you with the dynamic with Maki, Toge, and Panda? Like, given, you know, the whole thing of fighting curses, there had to have been some underlying tension amongst that sort of crew. So what, walk us through that a little bit.
I think you definitely feel some of that tension. I think that it shifts after you're able to see what the situation actually is and what they can actually do and what their actual thoughts are. That it's based in this love, that Yuta wants to help people, that they have a mutual, in a certain sort of traumatic, messed up way, this mutual relationship with, you know, of protection and love, and that dynamic. It's real, and it's, you know, it's something that they end up, I feel, not being nearly as afraid of, at least from what I was able to glean. But it definitely starts that way, and I think it takes work on both of the characters' parts, and then from the other characters to build that bond and change their mind.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, you know, there's definitely tension, but I think a lot of the tension comes from a lack of understanding. I think Yuta and Rika, their relationship, how they feel towards each other, is a very private thing between them that, you know, none of the other characters get to really understand. And I think it's like really interesting to see, you know, how they themselves sort through, you know, this change that goes on within Yuta, within introducing, you know, these new characters to them, basically, and just figuring out how to protect people with their love.
Right. Since you've mentioned like a lot of the psychology and like the places these characters go, I guess, like, since I've been given the cue to start wrapping up, the last question I want to ask is, from both of you, your favorite aspects of your respective characters and why.
I think my favorite aspect of her is that she always wants the best for Yuta, and I don't think she ever tries to dictate what is the best. She always respects what he feels is best, and, you know, it kind of tells me that, you know, it's a pure love of like, hey, you know, I will literally like die for you, or I will, if we have to break up or whatever, that's good because I just want you to be happy. And I think, you know, Rika's just this very genuine and understanding person that gives Yuta space to be himself, you know.
I think my favorite aspect of Yuta is that no matter what situation he finds himself in, no matter how he's feeling about himself, he wants to help if he can. Even when he thinks he can't, he wants to help, and he starts to learn that. I think he starts to learn that he needs to value himself, to value the world, and to help it, and to see somebody kindle that inside of themselves is, I think, one of the strongest aspects any person can have.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the interview. I really appreciate this time.